All right, we've all had it drilled into our heads, floss every single day. But what if I told you that advice wasn't just kind of wrong, but maybe even dangerous? Yeah, today we're diving into the wild story of a dentist who got publicly shut down for trying to tell the world the truth. Let's get right into it. So, just imagine this for a second. You're at a huge medical conference. A dentist gets up on stage to speak. What could they possibly say that's so shocking, so out there, that they literally get pulled off the podium while they're still talking? Well, the answer to that question, that's the key to this whole crazy story. And that brings us right to the center of the storm, to Dr. Ellie Phillips. See, she's the dentist who found herself in some seriously hot water, and all for one simple reason. She had the guts to question one of the most sacred, unspoken rules of dental care. And, she says it best herself. Her whole journey kicked off because she wanted to talk about the truth of flossing, not just the good stuff, but the dangers too. I mean, this wasn't just some new flossing technique she was pushing. No, she was challenging a core belief, something the entire dental industry has been telling us for decades. Okay, so this leads us to what Dr. Phillips calls the great flossing fallacy. You know, the idea, right? Flossing is supposed to stop cavities and gum disease. Simple. But if that's actually true, why do the numbers tell a completely different and honestly kind of scary story? Get ready for this, because this is the bombshell. A staggering 97% of Americans over the age of 65 have cavities or gum disease. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. Millions of these people have been flossing like their lives depended on it every single day. So what gives? If flossing is the magic bullet, why is it failing almost everybody? To figure that out, we gotta go a little deeper. We need to ask a really basic question. What even is plaque? And where does it really come from? We've all been taught it's about scraping away bits of last night's dinner. But it turns out that's a huge misunderstanding of what we're actually fighting. Okay, this right here, this is the key. On the left, you've got what we think is the problem, right? That little piece of steak or apple skin stuck between your teeth, the stuff that takes a day or two to even become a problem for bacteria. But look at the right side. That's the real enemy, liquid sugar. The second you eat carbs or anything sugary, your own saliva turns it into this sticky, acidic soup that just soaks your entire mouth, feeding plaque instantly. And that brings us to the main point, and it's so simple it's gonna blow your mind. You can't remove a liquid with a string. That's it. No amount of scraping is gonna get rid of a liquid bath that has coated every nook and cranny inside your mouth. It's just physically impossible. But hold on, because the story actually gets way more serious. Dr. Phillips doesn't just argue that flossing is, ineffective. She says that in certain situations, it can be actively harmful. Let's break down these hidden dangers. All right, check out this chain reaction, because it's pretty scary. Step 1, you got inflamed gums, gingivitis. This creates these little open pockets around your teeth. Step 2, you go in there aggressively with string floss, jamming it down into those already infected pockets. And that leads to step 3, the danger zone. You could literally be pushing all those nasty bacteria directly into your bloodstream. And that is no joke. That stuff has been linked to major health problems, even heart issues. Hey, real quick before we continue, if you're digging this info and want to actually do something about your oral health, we've got a game changer in the description. ProDentim is the real deal for supporting your mouth's natural ecosystem. Trust me, your future self will thank you for checking it out later. Okay, so if flossing isn't the right tool for the job, and might even be risky, then what are we supposed to do? This is where Dr. Phillips's work gets really interesting. She proposes a total shift in our thinking, moving away from just attacking the symptoms, and instead getting to the root cause of the problem. And her solution isn't just some other gimmick. It's a whole system for mouth care. The big ideas are using something called xylitol, using the right kinds of mouth rinses, and even picking a toothbrush that's designed to get between your teeth. And check this out, string floss? That becomes a last resort, only for that one stubborn piece of popcorn you just can't get out any other way. Now, the real star player in this whole system is an ingredient called xylitol. So what's the big deal with this stuff? Well, it's a type of sugar, but it's one that the bad plaque-causing bacteria can't actually eat. Instead of feeding them, it makes plaque too slippery to even stick to your teeth. And get this, it actually feeds the good bacteria in your mouth, creating a healthy environment where the bad guys just can't take over. It's a biological solution, not just a brute force mechanical one. So the big question is, does all this stuff actually work? Well, let's bring this story full circle.
Remember that conference where Dr. Phillips got silenced? We're going back there, because this is where she puts her money where her mouth is, in the ultimate dental showdown.
And this is where she gets her payback. So, early 2015, they pull her off the stage. But instead of just going home, she throws down a challenge to the very same dentists who shut her up. The test was simple. Let's use real, objective medical testing and see whose mouth is actually healthier. Fast forward to later that year, they do the tests. And the result? Dr. Phillips wins, hands down, vindicating her entire system with cold, hard science. Which brings us to one last really powerful idea from Dr. Phillips that just sums it all up perfectly. She says that flossing creates this endless cycle. The more you do it, the more you feel like you have to do it. And if you really want to break free from that, she says you need a totally different approach. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? Is it finally time for us to cut the string on our daily flossing habit for good?